He will join us about 7:15, but why don't we get started?
So we have here tonight, primarily for the main part of our, or most of our agenda, or the agenda. So there's no written agenda per se, other than we're going to hear about. I'm Bob. I'm going to let you introduce yourself in terms of your experience. But Bob is our expert this evening on the whole concept of foundations and the ETIC. He can share some information with us on that. We have one member of the public here. Tom, if you want a copy of these, this is what he's going to be talking about. I don't really have an agenda.
You want to come closer and I have to yell.
I can hear.
You sure?
Yeah.
I can speak lower.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to Bob, and we've been here for about a half an hour already talking over different things. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and I know he's used to presenting to much larger groups on this topic,
And smaller.
and smaller.
Well, we appreciate your time, Bob.
Well, it's not, sometimes it's not bad when I only live about a half an hour away. I live in Phoenixville.
Okay.
So I literally, I'm half a block off 23, which becomes 724. And it,
Yeah,
and it just
absolutely.
take one road, and here I am. It's the first time I've been up here in a long, long time. And I keep thinking I just passed, Pottstown on 100, and I think it's right up the road. It's a lot longer than I thought it was.
It's a good ride out here.
But MapQuest told me to go over 422, the main, and then hit 345 and come down. I don't know why. I said,
724, straight shot.
I know, that's what I did. I said,
724.
Let me, and as you can hear me, my name is Bob New. Last name is spelled N-E-W, and people go, oh, very simple. This is my retirement job. For the last couple of years, for 30 years, I was in business, basically sales and marketing, and then the last couple of years of my business life, I was what they called a change agent. I went into companies to fix them when they were broken, and that is not the nicest job in the world. So when I finally had a situation, I said, I'm pulling out and I'm retiring. What else can I do with the rest of my life? I always tell people, in all the years that I was in business, I always walked the other side of the street, which meant I was always a volunteer in a nonprofit organization of some type. Fortunate enough back in the 70s to be the president of Pennsylvania JCs with 17,000 members, and was on a Girl Scout council, which is probably, it used to be Freedom Valley. They changed all the names with about 21,000 girls in it. But I was, and the one thing that I could always do was raise money. And for some reason, a long time ago, I heard this thing called Education Foundations in California. Could never remember if I read it, heard it, or something like that. So when I'm sitting down and say, what am I going to do? It intrigued me about all this. So I ended up going out to California and met with the California Consortium of Education Foundations. And that's where the whole process started back in the 1980s. And the state of California had a thing called Prop 13, when there was tremendous, when they really cut education to, and it's still bad out there. And that was where the birth of all the foundations started. California still has about 500 of them. So I came back. I had written a business model that I thought would work. I went out there and I really validated what they were doing and what I thought I could do. Living in Phoenix, so I said, I can work within the Allentown, Philadelphia, Harrisburg triangle and work with the school districts, help them raise money. After about 9 months, I said, we have to get some of these people to meet with each other. And I called a meeting, and that was what we called the birth of the Mid-Atlantic Consortium of Education Foundations. And we had Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And I said, Delaware's 30 minutes down the road, and I might as well add Maryland. Don't know why. 2 years later, we added Virginia and New York. I've come a little bit around full circle, and we're spending probably most of our time, meaning 95% in Pennsylvania, and maybe, probably only 10% of that over in New Jersey from the contacts that we made. We are MESA, as we refer to as a 501c3 foundation and a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation. But what we found over in this, working with our and now it's becoming, and I was talking to the superintendent, and it's kind of interesting what has happened over the last couple of months to me. I've been pretty well, know most of, there's 500 school districts in Pennsylvania. We can identify about 205 education foundations in the state. I think there's probably another 10 or 15 more that are out there. To state that and say out of the 200, there's probably only about 10 of them that are any good, in my estimation. I'm a tough person to satisfy. So we look at that, and we've, over the last couple of years, we said, why are they successful? And compared to the other ones, and you're because we're going to talk, and you're going to know some of these people. Probably the most successful over the last couple of years is where I'm from in Phoenixville. The other one was Pottstown. We saw that Altoona has a great one, Camp Hill has a great one. There's a few other ones, not that many. And it all comes down to a couple things. And we do our presentation that way, and it ends up being those foundations that have an executive director or a staff, I call them a staff person. They have all kinds, they could be director of development, they could be executive director, they could be a lot of different things. But when we look at every one, say which ones are successful, first of all, there's a great executive, I feel a good executive director in place there. Some of them work for the school district, some of them work for the foundation type of situation. And I'll give you the case in point is what's happening right now is up in Pottstown had 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they had a foundation. I helped them change it because the foundation board was the school board.
Sound familiar?
Their meetings lasted about 5 minutes. They'd have a school board meeting, they'd all have a foundation meeting, and that lasted 5 minutes. And it was over. So David Krem, who is now the superintendent of Wyomissing, said, we got to get you to help us. So all in one night, we, at the end of the school board meeting, the next meeting, we abolished the foundation board and came out with a new board of officers and things like that. But what they did is they hired a lady who became their director of development. In the last 2 years, Terry has generated $2.2 million for the Pottstown School District through the foundation efforts. She is very talented, but now she has left Pottstown and she's now at Wyomissing.
She followed Dave.
She's followed Dave. And now the sad part of it, because everybody becomes a sort of a friend, that I see problems in Pottstown where they weren't getting $2.2 million. I'm lucky if they get $20,000 this year. That's scary to me because there's reasons that I'm not going to get into. Another situation is Phoenixville and Norristown. Phoenixville, great, another person just like Terry Lampe. Generally, over the last 5 years, Phoenixville is generating between $500,000 and $600,000 a year. When I talk that number, that's basically going into classroom initiatives. It doesn't get too far away from what they're trying to do. Some political issues happen in Phoenixville, and now Nan is at Norristown. And Norristown, which was almost a defunct foundation, I think will probably be generating by the end of the next school year, 2013, probably about $1.5 million. Because I just know the players, and I know what they can do, and I know what their potential are. So it's interesting to see, this is the person we see. These are the ones that make it happen, and it can happen. We also know that if a foundation has nothing but what I call volunteers, there's none of them in the state of Pennsylvania that I would say is doing an effective job. And I'm not saying it derogatory because we try to help them in every way possible, but until they understand that they have to find a staff person in that, which is what I call a dedicated person, we put on a minimum of that position has to be 3 days. In other words, 24, 25 hours a week to do that type of job. Some of them work full time, some of them, but the minimum is going to be the 3 day a week. then you see the things that they start to do. The other part of what we take a strong look at, and we have certain benchmarks that we have put, or people have said throughout the country, and what should a foundation raise? I never said this, but everybody accuses me of it. There's a quote in a book about education foundations, and it basically says an education foundation should be able to raise $20 to $40 per student per year. And we've done the pro forma, and I've done one for Daniel Boone here tonight, and what they could be doing. So with almost 4,000, my dad is getting old.
We've dipped under 38.
Yeah.
But that's
so if you're looking at, say, 40, you're looking at, or 20 to 40, you should be doing somewhere between $80,000 and $160,000 a year. And that's reasonable, because when we break it down, we break it down in little parts, and it's very doable. The other part of the equation is we have certain things that we believe that are necessary to be successful, and these are the subjective or organizational management type of thing. First of all, we start off and say, hey, you need an executive director. You got to put everything in writing. You have to have a budget. They don't do it. We talk about, having databases, doing some electronic communications for getting things out and things like that. Very simple things, but most of our foundations don't do it. We are currently now doing our second year. We do a leadership academy for our foundations. This one's being held up at Capital IU in Harrisburg. Last year was down at Chester County IU. And we meet one day a month. An all-day session, usually it's on a Friday. And right now up in Harrisburg, because we were there last Friday, we have about 15 different foundations. If you guys ever want to come, be our guest for coming in there. And we bring in some very, very strong presenters. This month coming up, if you want, good friend is Jay Himes. Jay is, I don't know if you
Pasbo.
Mm-hmm. Jay's going to, he asked me, because he's a Penn State really blue and white.
He's probably wearing black today.
Well, and so Jay said that we had lunch back in, I think, August once. About the only time I could get a hold of him. And Jay said, we just ran all the numbers, and it said, we will not get back to the same funding levels for the next 10 years that we had last year. That was his, and I respect his position more than anybody else's. And I think that that's what's happening, not only in Pennsylvania, across the country. And, it's more of a revenue thing than there's anything else. The revenues aren't being generated local, statewide, and federal. So, everybody's starting to look. And that's why I've had all these superintendents I've had more superintendents, I was telling Dr. Otto, call me in the last 3 months than I have in the last 4 years. And we did a conference in Western Pennsylvania in late September. Right now I'm in almost weekly contact with 4 of those school districts, trying to get them into get them done to do a 501c3. We gotten to a point, we're pretty good at things like forming 501c3s. We get them done in 6 weeks. We've never failed. We're 20 for 20. And don't let any attorney tell you that they can do it faster. And we ask them to pay our dues. Our dues are $150 a year. So we get them done, and then we get them. And the other big step that we look at all the time is we want them to, be part of and get into what we call the Pennsylvania Tax Credit Program. That program is unique to Pennsylvania, and it's unique to the country.
That's the ETIC.
There's nobody else that has one. Everybody calls me throughout the country and says, how do we get one? I said, go to your governor. Or go to the politicians because they wrote it. But it is such a corporate, it's a corporate perk. Secondly, from a foundation school district, the only programs that can be approved is what they call advanced academic. In other words, you have to get programs approved through the Department of Community Economic, which we do all this. It's not hard. And the biggest example, when I start with our new ones, I said, all we want you to do is we want you to get approved, and then they put you on the website saying you're an approved foundation. And I said, we're going to do the AP programs, because I know that they will approve the AP to include teacher, materials, and tests. And I said, now you got whatever you were paying in AP, you can take that money and put it back into your general school budget and use it for other things
the
like
whole
that.
idea.
And a lot of them that we have seen, a lot of them goes to technology. There's a lot of support into the technology area. Phoenixville basically put together a TV studio and media center with classroom instruction for over $250,000 through this program over about a 4 or 5 year period. So they're the things that are in there. And we walk you through to make sure that those things get done. But it's a corporate perk. I was telling Dr. Otto, people say, and it sells out in the very first day to us. Very simply, if you're a corporation paying specific taxes here in the state of Pennsylvania, most of them are large. You're looking at larger type of corporations, sole proprietors, partnerships, LLCs, and most of the S-corps don't work. So it's the C-corps, the banking industry, the insurance industry that are the big benefactors. It's very simple. If you give the program and say, I want to donate $10,000 and I want it to go to Daniel Boone Education Foundation, that's very good because you get $19,000 back.
Are they companies that are doing business in the state, or they have to be
as long as they're
incorporated
paying
in the
taxes in the state?
Okay.
Because we have there's a lot, like Staples is a Massachusetts corporation, but they pay taxes here in Pennsylvania. There's Enterprise Cars out of Dallas, Texas. They pay taxes here, and they max out. There's a cap on it, it's $300,000, and they will max out to that $300,000. Why? If they would give the $300,000, they get $300,000 off their federal taxes because you're a 501c3. And then the state of Pennsylvania says, we will give you 90% of what you donate as a Pennsylvania tax credit. So you give me $300,000, and I'll give you $580,000 back.
Can't afford not to do it.
They line up at the doors. Trust me, they know all about it. It's not. And it's a great thing.
But what you're saying is that in order to get that money to the Daniel Boone School District, it has to go through a foundation.
What happens? All right, say all the approvals go through. In other words, you're working with a corporation here in this area, and they submit to the DC Department of Community Economic Development, who runs this program. They put an application in. That's all. I mean, I want $100,000 worth of tax credits. And there's no checks going through or floating around. I'll tell you how it happens. They get approved, okay, and then they got 60 days to pay and actually give a check
to us,
to the foundation.
Or to the foundation.
It goes to the foundation, and it goes basically. See, those programs are already approved, so they have to be approved. The advanced academic programs, which are only school districts.
So you make your proposal, and then you get your money for it.
Yeah,
it's like a grant.
Yeah.
So they get 90% of that donation?
The who?
The corporation who makes that donation for $100,000.
If they give $100,000, they have $100,000 to spend. They get $190,000 back because 90% of it, if they make a 2-year commitment for the Pennsylvania tax credit. So what they do, then they have 60 days to just write checks out for up to $100,000. They'll spread it around.
Right.
It's funny around here because I'll get calls and say, hey, we got a check from Giant Food. And I go, really? And I go, is there a Giant Food Market in your town? Oh, yeah. Giant Food, nothing goes down. They just look at the approved list.
Right.
Oh, they match them up and then send them a check. But there's so many people,
That's why we need the foundation.
that are out there. And it's not a hard thing, but you got to go out and every bank in the state of Pennsylvania is up to their eyeballs in this program because there's a special tax that they pay that it qualifies. And there's not a bank that I have known of in the state even the smallest banks and the little community banks are into this big time. And most of them max out at very high levels, but they're spreading it out. The program itself is split 2 ways. And where Ridge, when he first started, was basically for scholarships and for private and parochial schools. And that's still the big element. but until they put in what I call the education. Now, I believe Corbett will keep it intact, fast, steady, cut it for over 3 years. But Corbett wants to add another portion of this to do the choice program, which basically will say that, and I think the first year we go, what's up there in Senate Bill 1 right now is there's, I think, about 145 school buildings that are underperforming, and they're classified. If you're in one of those 145 buildings, you can get out of there getting this dollar and go wherever you want. So I laugh at my friends down in Lower Merion and say, you're going to get all those guys out of West.
I was going to say, of those 145 buildings, I think 100 of them are in Philadelphia.
Yeah, or Pittsburgh.
Or Pittsburgh, yeah.
So, and you laugh at them. I said, all they have to do is walk across State Line Avenue. But that, a program that, be honest, the foundations, you're capable of doing it right now, or getting ready to crank it up and get it done. There are some of the things that we look at in how we can, get a lot of the things we do. The biggest problem of all our foundations is their board of directors. And we tell them up front, and that we've documented that. About 3 years ago, we had a conference with our staff people, our executive director types at Gettysburg College. And before we had that conference, we sent out questionnaires to every one of them. Fill it out. There was about 50 questions, and the only one I asked was, "Where's your pain? Where are you really hurting?" And it basically came back to about 95%. It's our board of directors, and I see it. I mean, I attend enough meetings to sit and watch board members, and I basically will tell them. I've told them a couple times, it's not about you. It's about the kids. Now shut up. It's about ego. Their egos are just gigantic. I want to do this. I want to do this. See, our philosophy is very simple. The people that, when they get all these committee people here, we got this idea, and I said, there's only one person you got to talk to, and maybe a few of his buddies. It's called the superintendent of the school board. They're the ones that make the decision on what's really needed. See, my philosophy, or our philosophy of a foundation is simply this. A foundation should provide the programs and the projects the school district can no longer fund, period. Now, we're seeing a lot of new things that are happening. We saw in Phoenixville, they just put $10,000 out. Do you get pay for play?
Yes, we do now. First year started.
It's called pay to participate. I learned not to say pay.
Yeah, well, we just call it an activity incentive.
But what happened? Phoenixville Foundation put out, $10,000 in a pool. So we have children that can't afford.
That'd be great to do that.
That they will pay that fee. I was talking to Superintendent Bob Buckinavich, is a friend of mine. He's executive director of athletic directors. And his survey to all the school districts in Pennsylvania, he now can identify over 200 school districts, and this was about a year ago, they're now on the pay for play or pay to participate.
Yeah, it's not unique anymore.
Oh, it's not unique, and it's the saddest part. You want to talk about some programs? About 2 months ago, I every morning I get ASBO, the National Association of School Business Officials newsletter, which is they're newspaper articles. Someplace out in the Midwest, could have been Iowa, Kansas, or someplace, there was an article saying the school district decided to charge $500 for every student that rides the bus. And ladies, I got 4 children, $2,000.
And a board could do that. You could, you could do that in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. People, see, I tell people there's a crisis in public education. They go, what are you talking about, Bob? I said, a lot more than you think. So what we try to tell people, and I looked at one of the things that I really looked at on your websites today is, you only need one foundation, one 501c3. The University of Pittsburgh, where I went, at Penn State, they have one foundation. All the money goes through there. It's nothing but fund accounting. And I noticed that the band has a 501c3, which is not necessary. I looked at that, and there's a copy in there. They only got about $500 worth of contributions, which are really, it looks like most of their money is generated from events and activities and stuff like that.
Right. He's one of our, he's on, are you on the band foundation?
So really, Yeah,
You know enough about it.
Yeah, and so really, in essence, I'm nothing wrong. We tried it. I mean, I get in Jersey, I get PTAs at 501c3.
I think our PTC is a 501c3 too.
And it's not necessary. They don't do the paperwork, so you only need one more than anything else. I just, what I wanted to look at, as I tell people, I read 990s for breakfast. I did that this morning. But I had a lady one day down in Virginia, Falls Church, a very wealthy Beltway area.
Yeah, my son lives down in D.C.
She said she was going on off of me, like, we raised $2 million a year. I said, geez, that's really great. Except your 990 says 300,000. And then I didn't hear anything for a while. So. But, there's a lot of ways that you can pool, and I think you can grow. I mean, alumni become a major portion of it. How you reach out to them and start to look for donations. I mean, we laugh all the time in Phoenixville about, we have four ex-NFL players and 3 Major League Baseball players that play. Mike Piazza was one of them.
Is he a Phoenixville graduate?
Yeah. And I always say, Mike is the second best catcher that ever came out of Phoenixville. He was number 1. And I go, Mike never caught in Phoenixville. He played first base. And I used to watch Mike. I grew up with his mom. And I used to watch him from the time he was 12 years old. And his swing never changed. I mean, even up through the major. I used to sit there and watch him when he was like 13, 14 years old. How he swung the bat.
I know them from the car business.
Okay. His dad could make Mike look like a pauper.
Yeah, his dad has all the cars, and we used to do the auctions together.
Yeah, we have, and to go after that, right now, Norristown's building a new football stadium, and they're getting $100,000 from the NFL Foundation because Steve Bono played quarterback, and he led it into there. There's a ton of money out there. What Pottstown did, what Phoenixville did, a lot of it's grant writing. I mean, not grant writing where Department of Ed fill in the blanks and you get the money. It's going after private corporations and private foundations. And the money's out there and it's available. And that's why you get some talented people out there raising money. It's all possible.
How does that funnel down to Daniel Boone versus we have Exeter up the street, we have O&J Roberts down the street.
Nobody's in competition with each other. That's my,
I mean, obviously, we don't have a Giant in our backyard like Exeter does, so obviously if Giant says we're going to funnel some money down here.
There's people you can find. I mean, I get, a lot of people ask that same question, where the industry base is going. People will, even from as far away as Reading, if you have people that they have employees that are from, the Daniel Boone area, that's probably their key more than where they're physically located, more than anything else. There's a lot of ways, untapped. I mean, we look at Altoona. Altoona's foundation has been primarily built around their alumni and their teachers. I'll tell you the second best after alumni. In fact, I put them first. The biggest group of people you should be looking at, they're called retired teachers. They're all over 60 and they're ready to give up some money, and where else would they give their money to? But nobody asks them. But we think there's people out there. When we look and show you where and teach you, these are the places we want you to go. This is how we're going to approach them, how you get these people involved. There's a ton of money out there. You never know. You're not going to get the big one. Camp Hill, a lady, elder lady, gave him $17 million to build a performing arts studio. It took them 5 years, and it finally got done. But down in southern Lancaster County, where the young Amish children were murdered, that's the Solanco School District, and some farmer had nobody to give his money to, and he gave it to Solanco for $1.2 million. So it's out there. You got to get the professional people in there to figure out where to get it, how to go after it. And we have all those techniques. At least show them this is where you should be looking at, right now, and find out, how you can get some of this stuff. It's amazing. There's special events that we do. We do at our conference. We have fun. We do one day. It's nothing but special events. And my vice president is from Somerset Hills, New Jersey. And Keith first came up to me and said, I want to talk about our chili cook-off. And I go, no. And then next year he come, I want to talk about the chili cook-off. I go, no. So finally we got stuck, and I said, you can talk, Keith, about the chili cook-off. I went there, so I know what it's like. The chili cook-off nets $92,000 a year. We don't put a special event program on our agenda that doesn't net at least $35,000, and most of them are over $50,000. And I already told net dollars on it. Pottstown ran Dancing with the Stars, made $52,000. Where did they get that program? From the Cherry Hill Foundation, because we just, you want to do this, to go talk to Eleanor down in Cherry Hill. You want to do, O&J's doing a chili cook-off. Where'd they go? They got it from Somerset Hills. And we just share all that information. There's not a foundation that I know of. When I ask them to help another foundation, they're like gold. We have some really goofy ladies up in northern New Jersey, but they're the greatest in the world. They make money hand over foot out of Montclair, New Jersey, and South Orange, Maplewood. But and they'll come down and you want to go up and talk, they'll give you everything they need to know. You don't have to create the wheels, because we have all the wheels. I tell people, if you want to know something, just call me. And I said, 5 minutes after I hang up, you'll have the document on your computer. And I don't care what you ask me about anything, about fundraising, governance, legal issues, we'll get it to you right away.
He gave me the documents just for this meeting, and in an hour I had them. I can vouch for that.
And that's what we're here to help. We're here to help you.
How do they get started? I mean, you may have some background on the foundation that was started here, which basically
I know a little bit about that situation. I know what the problems were.
Yeah, well,
people.
Yeah, all right. Well, then I mean,
when that was about a field, right? See, one thing that, and I go ballistic on that, because very simply, and I can talk about Gettysburg. I can talk about a few other places. When you do a capital campaign, a lot of them are about turf fields. I see that all across the street. When you do, quote, a capital campaign, this is the rule of philanthropy. This is the fundraising business. You don't even announce the whole project until you have over half the money in the bank. So it's a slam dunk. And I know what happened because the same people did it to Gettysburg. And I have good friends in the Gettysburg School District and Foundation. And that's what happened.
The same consultant that worked with ours worked with Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The one that came here and made everybody feel good, and then nothing ever happened.
So these foundations, how are they getting started? Is a volunteer coming out of the woodwork, and they're lucky enough
we're very selective on who we tell you who we have to get. In other words, we look for skill sets.
Okay.
I mean, it's. I always go back to my Girl Scout days. Drucker, who is probably the management guru of the world, did a book on nonprofits, management nonprofits, and the first chapter is dedicated to Girl Scouts. When I was interviewed to go onto their board, I was interviewed for 9 months for very specific reasons why they were going to bring me on the board, basically a fundraiser, more than anything else. We are very specific about who, and we're actually getting it down to a tighter type of situation where we're doing what I call less is more. I don't think you should have more than 9 people on the board. But each one of those 9 people are very, very specific. You only need one educator, okay, or a school board member. Because I need that. You need that that knowledge of the school district and what's really needed.
Sure, makes sense.
Example is in Norristown. What we're doing in Norristown right now. The foundation president, who was actually a school board president before that, sat down with the superintendent and said, "What do you want? What do you need?" And she came out. She said, "Okay. We give laptops to every one of our students 9 through 12. Okay, they're now 5 years old. Need to be replaced. $1 million. Dan said, "I don't think we're taking that project, but Nan will take it, and she'll get that $1 million for them. I know that." They came out with another one. They wanted, I think it was like 25 or 30 special Apple graphic type computers that they do for graphic arts in the media center. Foundation said, "We'll take that one on." She said, "We want smart boards in every one of our classrooms," and they're about 2/3 completed. And so the foundation knows every time they get $4,500 they're going to put a new smart board in someplace where it's ever required. And then what they're going to do with the ITC is to build a robotics club with the funds, and that's what they're going to do with on that type. So that foundation right now has their marching orders, and that's where they keep their focus on. So when they go out and make presentations, the only way you can do it is when you make a presentation to a corporate donor, you have to have a very specific reason and what it's going to cost.
Right.
Or you just can't say, well, give me money. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And if you have something there, and we go all through that type of situation where to be very specific, here's the program, here's what...
Hi, I'm Andrew Bass.
Hi, Andrew. Bob New.
Sorry I missed it.
That's all right. And that's the way it works. So, it's very interesting when we make our presentation. What both Terry will say and Connie says it's called work. WRK. That's what they both say that in the type of situations, and they just work at it. I mean, it's a business, and I tell people education foundations are not about education, are about making money for education, and it's a big difference. And that's what happens when you get some of our these boards put together. They don't feel obligated. They don't believe. See, in any nonprofit, I don't care if it's an ed foundation or anything, you only have two objectives: raise money and be an advocate. They're the only two things that you do when you're a nonprofit. And nobody wants to go. It takes money to make money. I mean, I've seen all the foundations that are out there. They don't want to do it. They raise $15,000 a year, $16,000 a year. So you're not helping anybody. And they got 30 people on their board.
Really?
Oh God! Don't even talk about some of these.
That's almost. I think that's too many people.
Oh yeah.
No, we just talk about. No, we don't do that. We're down to 9.
Yeah. Well.
Very, very tight knit people that can go out and what we call make the ask, and know where they're going. We're going to send them up. It's going to happen if you do the tax credit program. You have to know who goes out. Connie talks about being superintendent. She would go along with a board member when they were after major gifts. She went. It was the other person making the presentation, but she was there to support it, tell them a little bit about the educational side of it. It's a business. I mean, but what I see is it works in certain situations, but it takes work. It takes good organization, and you need the right people, and you got to work at that. You just can't. I talk about sitting at many board meetings, and somebody will say, well, we need to get some new members. Well, they'll go, Dan's a good guy. We should ask him, okay? We don't even know what Dan's skill is, okay? So, you don't do that. And then I'll sit around and I see the ego thing.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And I say, all you want is your name on the letterhead.
Right.
And it's not, and none of them work.
How are you seeing the initial startup of this typically going, and how does it get seeded initially? Like you said, someone needs to spend 2 to 3 days a week dedicated to that.
Right.
How do you...
I'm very creative when I teach a creative way. First of all, we've done this at a couple places. If you're a foundation startup, go to the school board and ask for a loan. As a loan, not anything else, with a payback period. Mm-hmm. And just sign a written contract. First of all, if that person doesn't raise what we think it is, they're not worth it. And that means you have to, that's a very interesting point. You have to monitor that person that's in that job, and they got to be capable of generating dollars, and you got to stay on top of them. I mean, this is a business.
So hold on, back up a second. I'm sorry to interrupt. So,
that's okay.
The school district makes a loan to the foundation.
Mm-hmm. It's a business deal.
Yeah, and an interest rate, de minimis interest rate, I would imagine. Zero. Should it be at least?
Yeah.
Should be at least something, because the money's earning interest for the schools somewhere else.
Why?
Why? There's got to be an incentive to pay it back.
We pay it back, or you kick them out.
Well, the problem we have is if we made a loan to the foundation that's currently in place, that money would have been we might have been flushing it down the toilet.
Well, you wouldn't do that. you can't. I mean, you have to know that now that you can't give it to a defunct or people that just aren't doing it. You can put an interest rate on there.
I'm just saying, well, look, what's the litmus test, though, for whether you have a credible foundation you're going to loan money to, or you don't have a credible foundation?
And that's the first question you have to answer.
Yeah.
Do I have a group of people that I can believe in that will pay me back as a school board? And then that's your first big decision. But you're not going to. I would never ask a foundation that doesn't have the quality or the ability to go back and believe they can and pay it back. The ones we've done, it's strictly a business. It's a signed document. To get it back and put it back in 2 or 3 years. But the onus of everything is, and you're not looking for a lot of money. You're looking at $25,000-$30,000. If that person and basically you're looking at that new executive director, and if they can't bring that in within 1 year, then
are you paying the executive director that money, or is that like just?
No, they're paying that money.
It's a salary.
It's a salary.
Okay, that's right. I just wasn't sure. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It's a salary. You have you pay them, but we think the minimum is not 3 days a week, and you're paying them somewhere between $25,000-$30,000, no benefits. They're done as an independent contractor, and it works very well. There's a lot of people.
So they're a 1099 to the 501c3. Is that how that works?
It's a 990.
That's a
1099 means that's your W-2.
Right.
You're an independent contractor. So you're paying them what I call I'm used to doing that because I had 250 of them.
Okay.
Salespeople across the country paid them 1099. I'm used to saying that. But you do, that's what, that's you just give them a check, nothing gets taken out.
right.
They're all
It's their responsibility.
It's all their responsibility. Yeah.
Now, where do you find these people? Are these people this is their career, so
No.
there's somebody out there that does this, they do two school districts?
I make it very simple.
Okay.
Do you know where I find them?
I have no idea.
Craigslist.
Uh-huh.
And within 1 week, I'll have 30 applicants here. 6 of them I know I can interview. And probably 2 or 3 I would hire. Never fails. Mm-hmm. There are ladies out here who basically have probably done something like this in their life already. Their husbands are working, the medical insurance and all that stuff's taken care of through the husband and things like that. They want something to do. And that's what we come up with. Mm-hmm. I actually hired one for Norristown. She lives in Douglasville. She's very qualified. I mean, more than anything else. They're out there. If people laugh, I said, I don't spend any money in advertising. People ask me, I came out of a hardcore business world, and people used to come to me and say, I want your business. I want this brochure. He says, how much is it going to cost? And I go, I like free. And they didn't know what to say to me. I'm from old school, okay? So I'm from a business perspective, period. And as I said, I had 250 salesmen and ladies. They didn't get work there. We fired them. I went through them like underwear. And you pull the plug as quick as you can. If you have a bad hire, get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Same way on your board of directors. If you have a bad board, get rid of them. Everybody can't do that. I said, why can't you do that?
Oh, you're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah. Sharp
You're not elected.
That's what they
maybe
say,
school
right?
board have a little bit bigger
Cleanest,
problem.
right?
But people they don't accept that. And you're not being. You know what happens when you go to a person like that?
At the end of the day, you're doing them a favor too.
That's right.
They're not doing their job.
Yeah.
It's not right for them.
If you go up to them and say, "Geez, you know what they're going to say?" I know. And you really want to be here? And I'll go, no. Yeah. And people just are afraid to go up and ask that. I've done it all the time. But you got to find those people that that are passionate, and there's a ton of people that are passionate about their school district, alumnus, their sports teams, the band parents. I still think band parents are the greatest money makers in the world of anybody I've ever seen, because I've been through some other businesses watching, and they'll go out and do the right things. If I had to name a band room and go for the money, I'd get some old ex-band director, and I guarantee every one of their players would come back and and if you ask them for $100 or $500, they'd probably give it to you.
I think one of the challenges we also come up against is, again, we do have, as you saw and you pointed out, we do have a 501c3 set up already for music. We've got a sports boosters. We've got the PTC. And there's this general feeling amongst them that, there's not enough to go around. And, we'll be taking money away from their specific...
See, and that's, okay, that's
so
not...
it's a challenge there.
I can solve, that's an easy one to solve. Because they can't, there are certain things that they don't have. Let's talk about PTA. They don't have alumni. They can't get corporate and private foundation grants because no corporation or foundation, they want a big footprint, not some little school building. You're going after alumni. You're going after building endowments. Totally different. They're used to running, a little...
Cupcake sales.
You're right. Tchotchke type stuff. And you just have to sit down and talk to them that way.
And do you try to absorb them or assimilate them into the foundation?
No.
Because you said there shouldn't be more than one 501c3.
No, you only need one. All it is funded county. You need a good business. You need your business manager, somebody capable that can do that. It's all you need is just funded county, keeping who's getting what and where.
Right.
Everybody thinks it's complicated. It's not very complicated. We have a school district out it's called Southern York County, right on the Maryland-Pennsylvania border at I-83. Probably one of our best foundations, and they do the best what I call in the umbrella. And it's nothing but funded county. And you go look on their website, look at their financial annual reports. And they do a lot of stuff. I mean, see, one of the things, the other part of our strategy is always we want to build endowment, not scholarship, because I'll argue the scholarship side. If you want to give a child, there's a couple reasons. First of all, scholarship, you're only getting one or two people in the school district of 4,000. Okay, that's the other. Now let me talk about scholarship. Where's the money spent?
Somewhere else.
That's right. Wherever he goes to school. Guess where it comes off on the financial aid package? His side or her side, not the school side. That's why we talk about building endowment. Phoenixville, Dave Noyes came out and said, who was our previous superintendent, said, I want $1 million endowment in 5 years. We are not there. We have $450,000 in 4 years, 4.5. That's going to start throwing off money pretty soon. It does right now. Even an investment and I can teach you where you put it. I mean, it's being handled and managed by the Chester County Community Foundation and you could do the Berks County Community Foundation because they got good people up there. Kevin's a friend of mine up there. And so that's where you do it. So it doesn't matter. But you're building, we're doing a presentation next month up in Harrisburg. One of my presenters, his name's Bob Potter. He comes out Center.
I bet he's been here.
Huh? That's
Bob's
right. You know
here.
Bob. Okay, yeah.
He's been
and
here.
Bob, did a job. He said he did a lot of planned giving gifts for the Center County Foundation and the State College School District. He said, I have $20 million in the pipeline just waiting for people to die. And that's basically what you're doing at. But people want to start building an endowment. Why does the universities right now build endowment? It's their long range, where they can start throwing off money. And scholarship is not, you have to sit, people don't know that there's an option for them. So you just have to sit down with them and say, let me give you two examples, scholarship, endowment. And I go through those two scenarios.
I think the issue, I've been arguing an endowment and annual fund and capital campaigns for 4 years here. I think the issue is one of people, for whatever reason, don't think that public schools can do what private institutions have been doing for years.
What is all the public universities doing right now?
I am in agreement with you. Universities have billion-dollar endowments. Private institutions, private schools have. The Hill School has an $80 million or $100 million endowment for crying out loud. That's what gets them through the tough times. That's how they pay for things.
And you didn't come in. And one of the first things that I talk about is I tell people public education is in crisis.
Absolutely. We
and
can't keep going.
And usually what they say to me, what are you talking about? And you just got to tell them, that's why this thing is here. This is, as I said, I don't know if you caught what I said about Jay Himes. Jay's the executive director of PASCO. Jay says to me 2 months ago, he said, it's going to take us 10 years to get back to our funding levels of last year. And when the pension stuff hits these school districts in this state, it's calamity. I can tell you there's a school district in Philadelphia area that's $23 million short right now in their pension plan. It's all going to hit. I mean, this is why, you have to change their thinking and going out and do some of those things. You're so correct to build endowment. I told them about a capital campaign. You don't do a capital campaign. These are the rules of philanthropy and fundraising. You do not do a capital campaign until half of the money of the goal is already in the bank. Period.
Well, you had said the one question in your survey that you said was, where's your pain? And our pain obviously is we have a 501c3, but we don't have a 501c3 in a sense because we don't have any leadership on it.
Right. You don't have.
So how would you?
How do you dismantle that?
Exactly. What would you advise to us? In 20 minutes here, that we should do, given that we don't have a magnet now that people are attracted to.
Right.
It's more a repellent than it is a magnet.
And you started off the wrong way. Okay. There's a.
So how do we go forward?
You got to basically sit down and start to tell them the facts of life. What's really needed in this school district? That's from.
Let me back up a second. So we had this committee, right? We kind of formed this committee because we needed, some sort of forum to talk about, alternative ways of raising money, ways to save money in the school district, and sort of thing. And so I kind of always looked at this committee as we gotta move off the tax dollars and move on to an alternative source of revenue that's sustainable for our school district. The problem we have here in this school district, we have $100 million of debt, which is an albatross across our necks, which takes up about 14% of our budget. Okay. And we've got, collective bargaining agreements that are another 70% of our budget. Unlike a lot of other schools, it might be 50 or 55% of their budget. Ours is at the high end. And then we've got a foundation that we thought was going to work all right, but our role as a school district in that foundation is advisory only. We have no control over what they do or how they do it. We can't give
one board member sits on that board, and I do.
It's a hand in glove operation. I call it separation in church and state.
Yeah.
People, and I see them all. But the school district administration has to be, there has to be a buy-in by both sides.
Can we set up another foundation?
You don't need to. You have one.
Yeah, but getting those people off.
Just tell them you're done.
But we don't have any control over it. It's not our choice. We don't have any voting power.
You set them down.
We don't have any.
You bring them in, and I'll talk to them.
I think the issue, but we've done that for a year. We've said this is, you guys aren't going anywhere. We've had people quit. We've had good people quit because.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. You can form another foundation.
Okay, so
you can do it like that.
But can we form another foundation where we have more school control over the direction of that?
You don't want school control.
But I think
your school control is within your superintendent and the school board. 2 people.
Yeah, but there's not enough power on that to effectuate.
But the community, what happens? The community's first objection. I hear that we pay property taxes. Why should we be paying? When they see the priority going to the school district, when they'll start to assume that the foundation is being run by the school district.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want anything to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah. You just got to do some positive things, and it'll all take care of themselves. Every one of I talked about, the good ones, the people buy into it. This is called work. WORK. It's a bitch to be good. You have to work at this and get the right people that have a positive attitude. If the other people don't, and I run at this all day, they don't want to give it up. You can form another one. They can't stop you. Nobody can. If I came up here and said I want to form a new foundation for the Daniel Boone School District, I could do it. Nobody, anybody can do it. You're a private entity.
Yeah. So
you just say, 2 things are going to happen. We're going to, either you're going to get it because you haven't done anything. Where's the money? I give you some of the. You don't make any of the benchmarks. Okay. Here's 3 criteria by my organization that says, are you any good? you don't even come close to any one of the 3 benchmarks. You're not even a member of getting tax credit dollars. I mean, I go ballistic anyway because we have 200 foundations in Pennsylvania, only 105 are approved, and I go that all year long. And I say, here's foundation. The list is in there. They're getting $30,000-$50,000 a year out of tax credits, and you didn't even get approved, and we can get approved in like a minute, not a little bit longer than that. It only takes 4 pieces of paper, and I mean we can get that. That's done simple, and now you're approved. They haven't even looked at that, so they have no idea what a foundation is.
Yeah.
And either they're going to do it or they're not going to do it.
So you bring them in, and obviously you've got more experience in this sort of thing than we do. So what do you bring these people in that are obstructing the progress, and you say, look, you have 2 choices: either step off, or we're going to form our own foundation and leave you guys behind.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Period. I don't know why people hang on, but it's not the only place I've.
Yeah.
The people want to hang on.
It's ego.
They want their name. Yeah, it's all about ego. They want their name on the stationery. But I would give them some of the things that we've given you here, and the 3 things are the benchmarks. These we call a financial benchmark. Raise $20 to $40 per student per year. Cool. That's a nationally recognized formula. Here's another one of organization management. It's in that packet.
Oh,
and
$80,000 to $160,000.
And the other ones, we are management organization. These are 10 things you should be doing. They don't do. I guarantee you, they don't even do one of them. And the other one's the EIO program. They're not approved. What excuse would they give for not being approved? They probably don't. I don't know if they know about it.
Yeah, probably not.
Pardon?
They probably don't.
So if we were the ones kind of calling the shots on that foundation to say, get out of the way or we're going to roll over you, I mean, who is it doing that? Is it the superintendent? Is it?
Well, that's a thing you guys have to figure out. Who's the person to?
I think it's the whole board.
We have
2 people, me and somebody from the board.
I know, but I mean, I think
We have-
we almost have
with
to sit
support.
down with the whole board saying,
We want to do this.
I have it. I'm in a situation up in Harrisburg area with a large school district, suburban Harrisburg. Same situation. Foundation has not been active for 3 years, and we had the school board president.
Sounds familiar.
And you
school
go ahead,
board,
what you do?
School board president and vice president. I've talked to their quote the foundation president. She doesn't want to give it up. She will give it up. I mean, she tried to play some games, and she had called me about 5 months ago. I met with her and told her, one of the things, because they're a foundation, the other, to get approved, they did their filings for EIO. They had been, no longer did it. I said, we had it all set up. They could, go through the paperwork, not a problem. Never did it, never even contacted the people. So it's something she doesn't want to give up. But, I said, it's about the kids. I mean, anytime you see me do a presentation, our last slide says, it's all about the kids. That's the only thing I ever talk about. So don't tell me about all, it's about helping the students and helping the kids. I mean, I can give you story after story. I don't know what your free lunch program is or what's your percentage. I don't need a exact number.
Yeah, it's a little higher than people would think. So we're it's not significant, not like Reading or those areas.
Is it higher than 30?
No, it's not higher than 30.
Just Phoenixville's probably about 30. Phoenixville for the last 5 years, every one of those kids is free lunch. They've given them backpacks filled first day for everybody. That's like 1,000 kids. You know how much they pay for all that stuff for 1,000 backpacks? It's a little less than $500.
yeah.
Because they go out and work at it. I told you weren't here. They just formed a fund with $10,000 in it to pay for the pay-to-play children that can't afford it. Great program that I think is one of the best I've ever heard, where we've had, in that minority population, that students from their families have never gone to college. And you know what they did with them? They put them on a bus. You know where the bus ended up at? Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, yeah?
They saw Moorhead, Spielman, Georgia,
Wow.
Georgia Tech, Chapel Hill. Virginia, and Maryland before they got home. 1 week they were there. And one of the kids is down in Moorhead this year.
Wow.
But these are the type of, programs that I see all the time. That when you really want to do it, and you're helping those type of kids, and you just get a couple successes in the role. I mean, I can sit you down anytime you want with a good one. I mean, come down to Phoenixville, come down to Norristown, and your head will be spinning. Or go up to Wyomissing right now with Terry. And listen to what she does and what they're doing and how they do it.
What does your firm charge for its services to help school districts establish?
It depends what services you want. I've given them. I didn't.
I have a.
Okay.
It depends on what services exactly what you want me us to do.
Is it a flat rate fee? Is it a percentage?
No. There's percentages. Anybody ever asks you that, percentages are never allowed in philanthropy, even though a lot of them want to do it that way.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for coming. Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice meeting you. Thank you. It depends exactly on what you want to do. It's a fee. It'll never be less than a year. And basically, when I look back at all our records, I'm usually in that school district foundation 1.6 times a month. So in other words, you would see me like twice a month, in whatever situation you wanted me in, and I'm involved in any one of those areas. Connie would be the same way. She looks at it from she's the educator. I'm not, with respect, I'm the fundraiser. So that's, if you say we want to do a search for an executive director, the one thing I would ask you guys to do is to join MESIF. That's $150 for a year. So that's all. That probably is. But that's what we do. I mean, you tell us exactly what and then it becomes an agreement. This is the scope of the business and what you want us to do, and then you hold our tails to the fire and say, "Get this done for us." And
we've had a lot of fits and starts. We've been trying to do stuff on our own with. Frank here actually came up with a program called Adopt a Program. We were trying to get that off, and the thing that we're not having is that dedicated person that really...
That's to be honest, that's the key. That's where the real decision has to... That's the first thing you really have to do, more than anything else.
Now, what's the typical model? You had talked about, say we convince the board to say, we'll do this loan thing where we know we're going to get it back because it's an investment, it's not really a cost. Who supervises that person then? Is it the foundation, or is it board, or is it collective?
It depends where I'm involved. If I'm involved, then I'm the one to keep you. I'm the coach. I coach and mentor, but it's still going to be the foundation board. It's going to be responsible.
So they answer to the foundation board.
As long
Bob,
as
do you want something to drink real quick? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Pardon?
You're doing a lot of talking. Do you want something to drink? Some
if
water
you have water, it's fine.
I got it.
I think there should be some. If there's not, I'll go upstairs and get some.
Is there Coke in there?
Dr. Otto?
If there is a Coke in their diet, I'll take. If not, I can go up and get some. So let me know what's in there.
No, I'm fine. Are you sure? Yes.
If that's a situation, one, I never want anybody to fail, and that's I take that as a personal thing. I want to get a good person. I want to be, and I can be tough with it. I mean, I have no qualms about it. I'm too old. I don't give a shit about like this anymore.
Wait, watch, we're taping this. We don't post them publicly yet, though.
And that's part of it, because this is. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
This is the future of public education. To a certain, you're asking for alternative ways of it. This is.
Well, we've been taking a beating the last 3 years just because of the way revenues are. It's been difficult. We've had rooms full of people here. Please don't cut this. Please don't cut that.
I mean, my view on this whole thing is that we've exhausted our ideas to death. We have many good ideas, but our problem is no one's executing on these ideas. Whether it's getting the foundation running again and finding the right people to do it, or one of these other fundraising programs, there's no execution going on. And that's where we need the help. And to me, it's worth the investment to get the help to get it started.
It's a lot of work. And you got somebody to keep everybody on track. I mean, this is, we have a thing that document. I don't know if I sent one. First year task. I can give you when I got home. First year task, month by month. These are the things you got to do right now. In 1 year. This is when we actually start up from forming a new foundation. What happens when you're forming a new foundation? I probably take 2 or 3 months. That's basically what you do, and then you start getting organized. But
So you really don't work with the school district, you work with the people who are going to run that foundation, correct? That's when you say you're
I work
mentoring.
with everybody. I would work.
Well, understand.
I know.
You work with me as well. I get that.
I have to. Yeah. Basically, I'm going to work with the foundation.
Right.
That's
You want to build a
because they're the
successful
executor.
business there.
But they're not going to go straying away with all kinds of goofy ideas. I'll keep that. That's one part that I see. Everybody wants to have their own little pet project. They want to do certain things, and you're the guys that know what's needed. What are you losing? My niece teaches at Fleetwood high school English, and I said to her, Sarah, what happened at Fleetwood with the retired teachers? She says, Uncle Bob, I get 1 more class a day, and I get 5 more students per class.
That's what's going to happen here.
They didn't replace.
That's where we're headed.
They didn't replace anybody, and that's
where everybody's headed.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear that, but that's where everybody's headed.
Yeah, I know, and people don't quite see all that stuff.
Bob, what would you estimate? I know it's tough to do, but if we were able to get the foundation going and we were approved for the tax credit, and what's a reasonable financial number that we could expect to see come back from that tax credit?
Yeah, depends how hard you want to work.
Well, the reason I ask that is because if we're sitting there with the rest of the board and we're saying, look, we're thinking about making a $30,000 loan to get this foundation up, and one of the first things the foundation's going to do is apply for the tax credit, in which we think we're going to get $60,000 back. I can't do it, but one of the things we're doing right now. One is sometimes I have to wear 2 hats, and this is a consortium hat right now. 4 years ago, we did a special. I don't know why I didn't bring it tonight. We did a special folder for people to make presentations, because foundations at any level, we don't have one foundation can go out and do a really professional looking graphics piece and to make to a corporation. So we did it, and then we just
like a template.
Yeah, it was actually a physical document folder with inserts and everything else, and the foundations paid us for whatever they needed. They wanted 10 of them. I think they were $2.50 a piece. So at least they were going in and we're going to do it again. And we're right in that process. So we would, that's the part. I can tell you, we talk about it all the time. Look at your vendors, okay, because there's not reciprocity, because most of them are already paying into it. They're doing it. All the healthcare providers are into this program. For it. So the architects who go into this. People, anytime you're giving a lot of money, they're a priority type of prospect for you. I don't know who picks up your trash, but one of the big people, or Messino and Waste Management, they're up. They don't know where to put their money.
We have Mascaro in our community.
Huh?
Mascaro's in our community.
Yeah, but I think Waste Management handles our trash.
Oh, okay.
But both of them are big donor, or big Now they're not contributors, just getting tax credit dollars. But they're and we have the list. Some of the things I shouldn't have, but I have.
Hey, we've already explored it. I've talked to our attorneys, and they say, yeah, we've got a fund sitting aside just for donations to charitable organizations. It's been there. It's been waiting for us to ask for the money, but no one asks for the money.
Who's your attorney?
Rothschild.
Who?
Fox Rothschild.
Along with 9,000. Okay, Fox Rothschild. I know. They give.
Yeah, they give a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're a big outfit.
Yeah, I know.
I think they're East Coast.
Yeah, they're it's Jersey and Pennsylvania,
Maryland.
They
Delaware.
represent like 7. Rich Caputo. Who's your?
Yeah, I know Rich Caputo.
Rich runs Wilson West Lawn.
Yeah.
But they do like 70 school districts. They got Phoenixville. They do quite a bit. They have an office in Exton. They have one downtown Philadelphia. So I don't know where else.
They got them in Princeton. They got them. They're all.
They've got one in.
Yeah, but they're the type of people that you could that are right there. And all I would tell them right now, we're going to be approved for the tax credit program. I tell all our people that, because I'll get you approved. We'll get you approved. Funny thing, because the guy who ran Tax Credit Bureau up there for 15, since its inception for 15 years, retired too on June 30th. He's on my board now. He became a good friend. He's a great guy. So I used to laugh because foundations would call him and they'd ask him a question. He'd go, call Bob. And I said to him a couple weeks ago, I said, hey, Ted, when somebody calls in, can I say, call Ted? They said, yeah, I'll do that. But we're also looking at some matching grant programs and I got a lot of retired superintendents. I don't know, do you know Charlie Amuso?
Yes, I do.
Charlie's a good friend. Rita Jones is our chairman of it.
Rita used to be superintendent here.
Is that right? I know that.
Yep.
But you never got out of Downingtown.
No, she went from here to Great Valley.
Yeah, she's from Downingtown. She sort of,
She was the first female superintendent in Berks County.
Is that right?
That was right here.
She's over in Bangkok right now. She's coming back soon. We have a
good reputation.
Huh?
She's a good reputation.
Yeah. She's the chairman of our matching grant program.
So Bob, what you're suggesting is in terms of like steps to follow, the first things first, we'd have to, as a board, we make a commitment that we're going to move this thing forward, and then we'd have to sit down with the current foundation and just say, look, either you guys got to step aside or we're doing something different. We need to find an executive who we're going to pay $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
I would think around 25.
Okay. As a board, we got to consider finding a loan to fund this, and what is it, a $50,000 loan, it's a $30,000 loan?
I would put probably at 50 with maybe at least a 2-year payback.
And then once this thing's
Whatever
funded,
you guys are comfortable with.
it's funded, we have the executive in place, we apply for the tax credits, and we go after our list of vendors.
Yeah, and you're going to go. There's a couple other ways to generate quick dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
I'm just looking at our quick vendors between healthcare, our architect, the construction guys that just built, a $5 million stadium for us and $12 million worth of buildings. Our attorneys, waste management, Sodexo, going after our teachers union. I mean, we pay them, the teachers and everybody else $35 million a year. RBC Capital, who has done $100 million worth of debt for us.
I have a list of all the corporations to give.
Yeah.
There's 4,000 of them, so we don't.
Dell,
we'll give it to you electronically.
And the local places.
Yeah.
Right? The Wawas, the Walmarts, the Giants.
Walmart does. Wawa.
Even the Microsofts and the Dells and all those other folks that we.
I think they would be tough, but hey, if you can come up with 30 good prospects and get a couple $1,000s, you're going to. If you can get $40,000 the first year, they tend to stay with you.
Yeah.
Year after year. More than anything else, it's just one of the things you're going to look for, and I would be involved. I said you got to find some great salesmen, guys who are professional, or ladies who are good salesmen, who can go out there and make the ask. And the other part of it is I make you go sing for your dinner. You will go out on the luncheon and talk to the Rotaries, Kiwanis,
I can do that.
Any organization we can get you on dinner, is there whatever?
I love to do that stuff.
Is there a chamber here, or is it?
Yep. There's a Berks County Chamber of Commerce.
You know what we're doing in Norristown, and what Terry did?
As a matter of fact, I think we are paying members of the Berks County Chamber of Commerce.
What I would do is what Norristown's doing. I think Terry may do it. Is get you and David do a Berks County they have like a breakfast or a luncheon at the chamber.
Yeah, I've already met Dave.
All right.
Yeah.
And then, you know what you do? You two want to sponsor, because you're going to sponsor, and we're going to talk about the ITC program.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
And
I feel like that's my role.
Yeah, and that's what happens. You get all these chamber people, and they don't know. A lot of them don't even know it still exists. And I even help you. We do that. A presentation, how you can help public education. Here's a great program. We'll give up flyers and everything. But I ask the executive director, one of the first things they will do, I want you to go out and meet every organization that you possibly can. And if you have to sing for your lunch, tell them about the school, have your presentation. Terry, that's what she does. She came out of industrial business development in Montgomery County. She's the one that raised $2 million in Pottstown in 2 years. So, don't, and same way we're doing a special event. We'll give you all the ideas to do a good special event, probably next spring or spring a year, or in the fall of next year. They're the things that we look at. Give you somebody to help.
So it's really sort of a leap of faith at some point, right? Because when you say you're talking about the foundation, not us as the school board. So
well, I look at you, everybody as one. I look at this as Daniel Boone.
That's the point. It's like you said, that is the point. It's all of us together.
Yeah, it is. I don't look at this as a foundation. I've had when I've worked with people, I'm as close, to Charlie Amuso's,
right,
or people like that.
What I think he's saying though is that we as the school board have to be very careful not to be the ones administering the foundation.
No,
it's got to be purely the nexus between the foundation and the district is through the superintendent and one of the board members that sits on that, and that's it.
And there's and I see it. I mean, when I see meetings, I can there's a sit down after some of those. I'm going to say, here's where I see problems. These are where I see issues. And we address them. Some people, how do you want to address it?
So your role, in the sense that whatever we would talk about, is to help us get this started. You would become like our advisor, our paid advisor, so to speak. Yeah. Would that be an accurate way to put it?
The foundation's advisor.
Yeah. Well, no, I call Charlie something. Charlie, I still have breakfast with Charlie Amuso. I haven't worked for the Southern School District in 3 years.
Okay.
But Charlie, I'll call. Let's have breakfast. I mean, he's a Pittsburgh guy. That's why
right.
We have a lot of fun. And but I don't. These are relationships to me. I don't differentiate. I just want this.
No, and I don't mean you do. I'm just saying his focus is on working with the foundation. And
right. You guys have enough stuff. One of the things that I look at and I understand, superintendent, school board members have enough on their plate. They don't need to do they have to know what's going on. They have to be supportive, okay? But they don't need to get into the details of all that type of stuff.
It's impossible. I know that. I mean, that you got to do one or the other.
Yeah.
Either run the foundation or you run the school district.
That's why I said I have...
right now, when I look down, Daniel Boone School District's my employer. That's who I work for.
Yeah, and that's why I say, Connie Kindler would be part of this also. And part of Connie brings from an education standpoint. She did it for 8 years as a superintendent. She can say, this is what I did, or this is how she worked with the foundation. I mean, she was, which we always think that, we called it the allocation committee, and she was the chairman of the allocation. Is I think the superintendent is the one person that knows what's needed. I mean, I get really, when I heard, because I saw another one just happened about a year ago about a turf field, and
ours wasn't just the field; it was the stadium foundation. That's what it was.
Okay. And he came in the first time of a meeting. Nice coat, velvet collar. Oh God, he stood up. I go, oh my God! And I jumped all over that superintendent the next day. I said, "This is the facts of life. You want to do this. This is how you have to do it when you do a capital campaign. You don't do it. You don't have enough people. You don't even know enough people to do a capital campaign to start out. And that's what I know what Nancy does. Is say this. I know because I know Nancy very well. I don't. She's very good in what she does, but she has a lot of failures. More failures than success.
Daniel Boone's on that list.
So I know. I know all.
Trust me.
Yeah.
I'll say that publicly right into that mic. We're on that list of failures.
Gettysburg's one. There's a lot of them that she means well, but she's tough, and I think that she wants her money. I mean, it's a nice thing, but I don't know. They don't have many successes. Let's put it that way. But it's it's the toughest thing in the world. I wouldn't even touch a capital campaign myself, from even all the background, because it's the toughest thing in the world to do. There are people that are very good at it, and I know who they are. But that the capital campaign is, you need you have to be able to have the right people say, I need $500,000 from you right now.
Yeah.
To commit.
Sign up.
Yep. Or I'm not going, because if you're looking at Steve, you're looking at millions.
4 to 5 as it turned out.
Yeah, that's what happened in Gettysburg. Gettysburg, I don't know if you've been out. They built this beautiful school outside of Gettysburg. It looks like
Wasn't Bill Hall was superintendent there?
Huh?
Wasn't Bill Hall superintendent there? Is he there now?
no, he's left. They have a new one. It's about a half mile long. It's real long. They never moved any of the athletic facilities out of downtown, and so there was an agreement between. They formed a foundation between the foundation and the school district. That the foundation could raise $3 million. The school district would come up with the other $3 million. And they went all through that, and I don't know. I think something blew up because they when they do it, first thing you do is a feasibility study, and they supposedly did. And I said, and they got $300,000. I said it should never went past the fee. It should never went to an active campaign. If in the feasibility study, you would have known how much money you were going to get.
That's what we paid our money for, a feasibility study,
Yeah,
and it's gone, and the foundation's broke.
yeah. And it's very difficult to kick off any. I mean, the people who do capital campaigns have been in existence for a while. They have a lot of big time people that can pay that are committed to that type of program. It's not something you can start out. You can do it maybe where the demographics are a little bit different. You know, really in a high class society. But out here, no, I wouldn't even talk about it. You know, but it's a lot of work, and if the big thing is that if you know, the big thing is to start to write down who do you think is really good, who can really, you know, and I look at salespeople because they're the people who's going to go out and ask for the money. They know how to get that type of thing. There's, a couple of administrative type people, you know, grant writer or something like that.
What are they? Are they volunteers?
Yeah,
The only paid person is that director?
Yeah, they're all volunteers. That's pretty.
What is that skill set of the director? Is that a
Well, they have to
sales type
they
of
have to
skill set or
understand-
more of a business?
They have to understand fundraising. They have to understand business. They have to be able to go out and meet the public.
Be self-motivated, they gotta be entrepreneurial, they've gotta be.
They're a little bit of everything. They got to be able. They're not an administrator. You don't want them sitting in an office doing paper, as I call busy work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got to be out there in the field, meeting people. You know, if you have a list of 10 people that you think that are qualified people that live in this school district, let them make the call. And you know, let them come in and talk about the school district, talk about public education in this school district. What are the needs of this school district? You know, in a very professional way.
There's committed people here, they just won't commit to what we have now.
Okay.
I have no doubt that there's committed people here. They will not commit to what we have now.
No, okay, no, that's understandable.
That's our problem.
Yeah.
That's our pain. That's our pain.
And that's right. And
We made what I would consider to be a very concerted effort to woo people and bring them on and be members of the board. We had a lot of meetings, spun our wheels a little bit, but we got some people fired up, and they came to 1 or 2 meetings, and they just said, "What's this?" And
the worst thing in the world is have a bad meeting. You know,
yeah,
see that you're not. That's
they vanished.
Yeah,
They vanished.
Are C3s the same as like C or S corps, where you have to follow certain protocols and procedures, or else you're basically
I'm going to get the first part.
the 501c3s? So do they have the same type of responsibilities and protocols that you would if you were a C corp or an S corp, where you have to have meetings, you have to have minutes, you have to do all of these things, you have to have a book, or else you're basically defunct and you're not even really.
I'm an entrepreneur. You know, make money. Period. No, first of all,
But I'm just saying, is that even in existence anymore because they haven't had a meeting in 2 years?
Well, no, they should. You know, first of all, you're a Pennsylvania first thing you have to do is file with the Pennsylvania to get a nonprofit situation. You know, and that takes about 3 days.
Yeah, they're filed.
Yeah, I know you are because.
Oh, you saw it. You said you found it.
No, I know it. And then you have to get an EIN number.
Right.
And that takes instantaneous. And then we give you a template. Say, fill in the blanks and submit it to the IRS.
Right. The same as me, establishing an S corp. But I've got an incorporation book, and I have to get that. I have to have that book filled out properly, and I have to have board meetings. I have to have minutes.
IRS is never going to come and look at you. But you have to file that what they call a 990 every year.
Okay.
Like what's in that packet from the Bam Booster, that's called their that's their W-2. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Not their W-2. That's their income tax form. That's what you have. But right now, because of the situation, the IRS came out with a 990. They call it Edwards Zebra, easy. And it's basically has a statement, I have not received, we have not generated more than $50,000 this year. Check that, and you're done. It's all done electronically.
Yeah.
It used to be 25,000, and they bumped it up to 50,000. So, and then if you go over 50,000, then you got to file what the band boosters did.
Gotcha.
But and that can be done. That's,
How much money did the band boosters raise?
They spend everything they raise. They don't. It's in that packet toward the back. That's why I said if you look at it, it looks to me I can read it. Basically, it's events. You know, this is where they were generating dollars, not donations.
Right.
It takes, you know, I can pretty much figure it out. It's one of about 10, 15 pages.
So this is public record, what you found here?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Once you're a fire, you're all public records. It's public information.
So you should have found one of these for the Daniel Boone Community Foundation.
Just keep turning the page, and I'll show you what I found. Turn one. There it is. That's what I see. That's why I know that you haven't filed the 990. See where it's, see the little check
Does
marks
not
to the side.
receive the guide stars.
So that's benchmark number one. Yeah. There's our first benchmark. First benchmark. What are you doing?
Mission statement,
Yeah. And that's, you know, GuideStar is like the national database of the mother of all databases for 501c3 foundations. And I can even go in and look at anybody's. Or at least I can. And that's what caught my attention when I did it today. You know, they know you exist, but you haven't done anything other than that.
So they probably won't even bother. They wouldn't track us down because we're not making any money anyway.
They don't track you down anyway. They got more stuff going on in Carteret Liverpool. They don't. There has to be millions of 501c3 foundations in the country. And but that's what I saw. That I saw they knew who you were. They have some names, but you haven't filed your 9. The other thing was your 990. That's the only thing.
So this form filled out by the band boosters.
Right. That's what you would eventually maybe have to do.
So that money that they basically, it looks like they maxed out at about what, 74,000.
Generating
no, they're only generating about 40,
generating $30,000 to $40,000.
Yeah, and that's probably
I
all event type of stuff. They might have had a good year back in 07.
It looks like in 07 they had
35.
they made 25
Yeah,
grand.
they might have some money.
08 they made 43 grand. 09 they made 35 grand.
35.
Oh, okay, I see where it is.
That's revenues
Gross
in the second.
receipts, I got you.
And I think most of that's just sort of event type of things, the dollars in, dollars out. And there's nobody asking for donation letters.
So in a nutshell, what would you recommend to us? Given that...
I threw the ball in your court.
Well, that's true, I guess you did.
Just let me know what you know.
I guess it's
Well,
up to us
I think our
now.
next steps would be, you know, that we
Report
will,
back
as
to
a
the
committee,
board.
we'll bring it back to the board and make a presentation of what you,
Hey, you're lucky. As I said, I'm half an hour away.
you know,
Don't if you need me for lunch.
right. We'll,
I have lunch with David all the time.
Well, we might be ring-a-linging.
yeah, I think what we'll do, we'll
I got
talk
to get
about it later,
feedback from my
but
board.
I think in December, we'll,
Okay.
I'll make a
But we just had
presentation
an
to the
election,
board.
so we're having some board members go out.
Okay.
We'll be seating
That's
a new
right.
board. Looking
That's
for
right. Elections were yesterday.
Yeah.
Did he have a big change?
2, 3 new board members.
3 new board
Nothing,
members,
yeah.
1/3 of our board's turning over.
Okay.
Maybe 4.
Maybe 4, so.
No, we just. I'm here to help you. Let me know what we have to do. I don't. You know. My goal is to get. You know. I just wish we could get 20 more good ones. You know, out of all the ones we do. But I do want to. You know, the advantages of the tax credit program is significant. It really is. I mean, we don't. Nobody. You know, in the state, it's money.
right, it's money. Like you said earlier, that other states would kill to have that program. And we're not even
Well, they
taking
increased
advantage
the
of it.
limits and everything else.
Pardon?
Didn't they just increase the limits like a year ago?
Well, they're talking. You know, Corbett's okay. Fast Eddie was a prick. Trust me. Excuse me.
We've got,
Because he remember when that budget didn't go out to what it was signed in like October? That cut all our EITC, all our tax credits in half.
really?
What was the
Wow.
limit? They moved it from what, it was 100 and something to, did they move
What
it to
Corbett
$250,000?
wants is, Corbett wants another, actually right now, the EITC program is $75 million. It's broken down in two ways. Two-thirds of it goes to what we call scholarship organizations, which are private and parochial schools. The other one-third goes to what we call EIO, Educational Improvement Organizations, which is where we are. So the budget of this, there's a pre-K in there, scholarship, with very little money. So the $75 million basically breaks down. $50 million goes to scholarships to private and parochial schools, and $25 million goes to our side of the table. What Corbett wants to do is add another $25 million on top of the $75 million to go to choice, where we talked about there's I think the number was like 145 school buildings in the state that are underperforming. Okay,
Under NCLB.
Yeah, under all that stuff. And those children in those schools would be eligible to get those monies to go to any school they want. Okay, and that's what Corbett, I think, is doing it for a couple of reasons. One, because he cut last year's budget by $1 billion. He's trying to keep corporations in some of these ways to get money back into public education. I've also heard he wants to double it to $200 million. So if that happens, for our perspective, I'm looking at that we could be generating, $10 million.
Maybe I'm confusing this with a different program, but I thought the tax credit there's a limit as to what a particular organization can receive. And
Not receive, it's what a corporation can give, $300,000.
Right. Oh, so it went to $300,000, right?
$300,000. That's
Okay,
the max.
right.
That's the max a corporation can give unless you play games.
Right.
Like
Okay.
PNC. They have 8 different entities giving $300,000.
Right. You just create another entity. And, yeah.
But that's the cap. Like we talk about Hatboro Horsham, they get about $400,000 a year, and people ask me why, and I said, well, Motorola gives them $300,000, and I'll go, well, why does Motorola give them $300,000? I said, they're across the street from the high school. And they go, why does Motorola give them $300,000? I said, they're across the street from the high school, and that's the actual answer. Motorola building sits here, there's a road, and there's the high school. Being a good neighbor, that's all they are.
We need good neighbors.
But I have the list of all the people that contribute, so that's, you can look at it. There's a lot of people in Berks County that I have never heard of. There's contractors and people like that. There's probably 200.
I just think we have a gold mine that we're not tapping.
Oh yeah,
I really do believe that, and the sooner we get started on this, the better.
Agreed.
After the first year, everybody starts cranking up on this because it's July 1 is the big deadline that we have to worry about. That's when they submit their applications.
I see.
So you need that sales period of start in January, February, start making the contacts and letting people know that you're approved. That's all they care about. They could care less about the program.
They used to say time is of the essence, but what you're saying is time is money right now.
Yeah, time is money. It always is.
How does the foundation know? Do they see some documentation in July that? How does that work?
This is the Pennsylvania
Sorry for
government.
the stupid question. So.
No, this is the Pennsylvania government. What happens? The corporations put their application in on July 1st. Mm-hmm. It takes the people up in Harrisburg about 6 weeks to shuffle. I mean, they have a lot. There's a lot of people that do all this stuff. So around the middle part of August, they send out letters to the corporation saying you've been approved for X number of dollars of tax credit, usually the full amount. At that point, those corporations have 60 days to get a check
To somebody.
to somebody, or to use up all their money. Now, there's some quirks. That means that they're on a July 1, June 30 fiscal year. Some of them are on January 1, December, so you may not get it until February because it's only because of the fiscal year there. But most of the people are on a July 1, June 30 type of thing. So that's a good question because I could never. You ever have to deal with the state?
Yeah, I know. The reason I ask is because as a school board member in December, January, February, I'm going to be hitting up the foundation for some money. So I'd like to know if they got any money and what they got.
Well, you have a pretty good idea of the corporate. If you can build a relationship with the corporation you're soliciting, they're going to pretty much tell you what they will do for you. It's not like a secret or anything like that. They don't care about what programs, very seldom. I think maybe 5% do. All they want is their tax credit.
Okay.
That's really what it would say.
So us talk as board members, talking to the foundation during our budget cycle in January, they have a pretty good idea of the dollars that they
well,
have.
yeah, and you can put in more than one place where you want the money to go, as long as the programs are approved. You could have one, you could have 20 of them. Doesn't matter. One gets you on the board, 20 gets you on the same board. Doesn't matter. They never publicize what programs are approved or not approved.
Right.
Your foundation is approved. That's all they're looking for. And they know if they give their money and go from there. But in the meantime, the same way is you can go after a lot of other people. And the biggest thing you have to do is that what programs, just like we talked about going to Norristown, what programs do you think we can get funding for, or where we need funding?
So what else would this executive director do besides worry about like the EITC? They would just as they
general donations, do a special
events, alumni database, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that person would do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the special events, I don't know if you walked in after that or before that, some of the things you were saying about your help with those special events is to point us in the right directions of other school districts who have done those special events successfully.
Yes.
What were some of the ones you were mentioning before? That
Pottstown Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars.
Well, I would think that if we're going to make an investment in this, I would recommend that we somehow.
There's a lot of good ones. I wouldn't show you one that makes less than 35,000 net.
Yeah, look,
I can't see how that can happen without.
They do a silent auction.
I think
they
this is
raise
all
a couple
great advice.
$100,000.
Yeah. Who does that?
Windcroft.
Okay, that's a private school.
Small private school.
Yeah. They tend to rake in a lot of money.
Yeah, but it was well organized.
Yeah, right. And,
Well, it's a machine.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do with your special event. Phoenixville, when I talked about the endowment program, their fall fundraiser is strictly for the endowment. They do it's a great night, and it's like $150 to go, and they'll get 300 people there, 400 people. People ask me, what do you get for $150? I said, opportunity to give more money. That's basically what it is. And that's how they did it. But
do they host those things at the school, or they do it like a country club?
One of the things is because of alcohol.
Yeah,
all things are off campus.
Yeah,
and you don't want to do them.
That's what I thought.
They do them at anything like a catering service. Yep. One of the things people want to have a good time. They don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean,
the better time they have, the more money comes out.
Yeah, believe it or not, the more they think they're spending, the more they want to.
It's interesting because a friend of mine who lives in Phoenixville has a condo in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. In silent auction.
Silent auctions off the condo, yeah.
5,000, but they got two of them because they bid against each other. They got to 5,000, so they made $10,000.
Yeah,
because they gave it to both.
They'll sit there and say, "Hey, we bid them up. Okay, this one wins it, and as a bonus, you both get it. You get it 1 week, you get it the next week, and then it's."
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. There's good people that we have who do these. We come sit down and talk to them. We just get together with them, and you make them happen. We have the wheels. We don't want you to try to invent them. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to invent them.
I'm with you on that one.
We've seen them.
We tried that route.
Everybody. And when I see a good one, the hot one I have is out of Carroll County, Maryland. It's called the Chocolate Gala. They do it at Valentine's Day. Everything is in chocolate, martinis, everything, and they're jetting it. They went from $35,000 and now the third year they're at $50,000 net dollars. Nice.
It can be done.
Huh?
It can be done.
Yeah. It just you get some. There's where you get some female worker bees. You get the right females to do that. They don't have to be on the board. They don't need. That's their committee. You say, hey, I want you to raise this money, run a special event. You can do 2 a year. And that's it because you'll burn the people out.
Right.
Do one in the spring, one in the fall. But there's a generation right there. I told people sometimes, said to what would you do to raise $100,000 in the first year? I said, very simple, EITC and 2 special events, period. And that's where I would spend all my energy. And then, I don't know if you heard me talk about retired teachers. You better start coddling. Make them part of this school. Bring them in, have breakfast with them, and let them see the classroom and what's going on, using some of the
They'll give back.
Huh?
There's been a lot of teachers that spent a lot of time here in this district. They're very loyal to Daniel Boone.
It's funny because you talk about Rita. We have breakfast a lot. So one morning I over in Exton, and I said, Rita comes in. I said, see those guys over there? I think they're teachers. She started to laugh. They're all from Downingtown. And about a month later, we're in the same diner, same time, same Monday morning. There they were.
Well, you ask her if she was ever Daniel Boone. She's got to
I
say
didn't know
yes.
that. I'm having lunch with her next week.
Yeah,
So
tell her you were in her old school
Okay.
district.
Were these always the offices?
No.
No,
They used to host these meetings over at the Monocacy building.
she might have been over at Monocacy.
Okay. How long was she here? Because I thought she was in
She
Downingtown,
left.
but not.
She had left 13 years ago.
Yeah.
14 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was probably at Great Valley the rest of the time.
Yes, she went to Great. She went from here to Great Valley.
Yeah. And then she retired 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She
Left here in the middle of a contract, I think. I'm not sure exactly what happened.
I just did a 501c3 foundation for her. It's called Teachers Without Borders, which is something she was involved with, and I don't know where, between a group here and some people in Japan. But that's where she's at right now. She's over in Indonesia someplace.
As a matter of fact, didn't Dave Robbins come in after her,
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yep.
And she still lives in Downingtown. Mm-hmm. And always, has lived in Downingtown.
I don't know her. I only know we've
Okay.
exchanged hellos.
Well,
but
did you know Larry Mussolini?
I know Larry really well.
Okay.
He's down at Downingtown now.
Yeah, right.
You know him too?
Over. Well, I had to tell hey Larry, I go, when he,
I'm going to call all my references tomorrow on you. I didn't do that beforehand, but no, you've done a nice job here.
it's funny with Larry. He said he turned down Phoenixville, and he wouldn't call. He wouldn't call me. He called me and said, I turned down Phoenixville. I said, don't worry about it. I said, it's a good deal. I'm glad you did. Mm-hmm. And he said, but I'm taking Downingtown. And I said, Larry, for you that is great, because he didn't realize that Downingtown has a high Italian population.
Oh, how about that? Okay.
He said, no, you didn't know that. So the first time, this is like the second week of September, first football game. We're going to big football game. We're going to go to the game. He said, yeah, I found all these Italian restaurants.
Yeah,
he pulls in, he says, I'm the new super, nobody knew who the hell he was.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
well, he was here in Berks County at Wilson.
he was a Wilson, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Bob. We really do appreciate you coming out
problem.
here and educating us. It's
If you need
very
anything,
important
take
to us.
some of these. These are good for, because I like that article because of what school districts are cutting. I don't know if you filled it out or not.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Bob before we adjourn?
Give me
Mr.
one.
Shad?
I need one to keep.
Please.
Yes. Mr. New, I think I have a connection with you, and we've never met.
Pardon?
I think we have a connection, but we've never met. You know these people. Ed McDaniel, Larry Gould, Jim Reichert, Annabelle Linneman, Richard Downs, Jim West, Bucky McGowan, Fred Parry, and Mary Paris.
Yes.
You know them all. I taught in Phoenixville.
Jim Riker just passed
I
away.
know he did. I taught in Phoenixville for 36 years.
Yeah, and Ed's not doing. That was my old JC background. That all those guys were JCs, and now I've been inducted into playing the Friday night poker game. My first one is this Friday night with some of these guys. So, yeah.
And of course, Edgar Holloman hired me in
God.
'68. Dr. Straub, Dr. Murray, Dennis Blanton, and Carolyn Trahosky.
I know all of them.
Yep.
Well, I was born and raised.
This man should be trusted.
Okay. Well, there you go. It's good. Did you know this coming here tonight?
When he said Bob, we've never met.
Okay, do you know my dad? Did you know my dad?
Bob New, yeah, Bob New, Senior, yeah, right.
He's Bob New Jr. I'm Bob New with a different middle name.
All right,
But we're still Bobby in Phoenixville.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I see Doc Kennedy, our retired high school teachers meet once a month. Our retired junior high teachers meet once a month in Phoenixville.
When did you start in high school?
68.
Huh?
68 to 2004.
Okay, now, so then you see Doc and me were very close. We were both at each other's weddings. We were
Yep.
like, a group of us.
The As soon as that Bob knew.
It's like old home
that's
week
big,
here.
so. It's a very good presentation.
Mr. Schatt, let me ask you a question, and I'm not putting you on the spot, and we all have a lot to think about, but you are so involved. He's not on the board, but he is a committed community member that
He's the
helps
10th
us.
board member.
He is our 10th board member. When we go through our ugly budget workshops like we've done the past 2
We're
years,
hoping they're getting a little better, though.
and you hear me or someone else propose that we invest and loan $30,000 to $50,000 to the foundation, and we're struggling with pennies and nickels and trying to make this balance the budget. How do you view that? How do you think people would view that?
I think it's an investment. You're going to get it back. I like the idea of the word loan. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that was news to me tonight. That perked up my ears.
All I can tell you is in Phoenixville, and of course, Tom Ramsey is still working with the TV studio down there, correct?
So I had my own TV show.
Okay.
It was called All About Sports, a Phoenixville tradition. There was nothing about education.
And I know what the foundation's done there with the TV setup down there, and how the kids got so involved in that. I mean, if that wasn't there, none of those kids would have gotten into. Is Kate Bilo went through that? Who's now on the TV?
I tell that story. The first time I was doing my TV show, I'm getting ready, and you're kind of nervous. You have a guy there, you're going to talk, and all I hear was this 3, 2. My producer was a 9th grader. But those kids were so talented.
Yeah.
And after we do the show, they go wrong, and they would put stuff in and take stuff out. And I said, oh man, it was a great TV studio to our school district went a little goofy and cut them all out.
I ran the YMCA slow pitch league for years, and one year the Valley Forge Christian College couldn't afford a team, so I sponsored their team. And
Okay.
Paul Jones, I played with Paul Jones. He was.
Okay.
I knew him very well. He passed away a couple years ago. He was a retired principal. I don't know what district it was, and then became a reporter. But the foundation down there has been very successful, and I know Nan very well. So you can tell her Tom.
Nan's special. I got to call her tomorrow.
I know Nan very well.
She's the executive director I told about Norristown.
Yeah.
We have a place. Hey, tomorrow there's a place in Norristown. All the tacos you can eat for $1. $1 piece. And so she's a great person that you come here and and I bring her just listen to. She's the one that raised $500,000 a year at Phoenixville. She got $150,000 off Gerlach.
Wow.
Because she just bugged them.
And she started out as an involved parent. That's how she started.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We have those people in this community. I know we
I taught both
do.
her
We do.
children.
We have them.
They're in every school.
We have them.
Yeah.
I know we do. I've talked to them. Yeah. They're just not going to do what we're doing right now with our foundation. That's the first step.
All right. Well, thanks again for your time.
Not a problem.
And meeting adjourned.